morning, everyone, from the beautiful city of Melbourne. It is springy, it is sunny, it is warmer, and we're very excited about being freer and, things being a little bit easier. So hello, everyone. And today I have a special guest, as always, for you, someone that has been working in the diversity space for a long time, I think. It is Cecilia Milani from the Multicultural Communities Council of Illawarra. Good morning to you, Cecilia.
Good morning, Eva. Thank you for having me.
It's a great pleasure. So today we're going to be talking about a couple of things. One of them is your role at MCCI. The other thing I wanted to ask you is about what MCCI does and what some of the challenges in the last 6 to 8 months have been. But mostly your conference, conference, which is I think 7th year running. Is that right? Is it your seventh one or 8th? 7th. Okay.
7th, I think.
Okay, and I'm certainly fascinated with the title, which sounds to me like it was born out of a little bit of frustration. Let's talk less and do more. So let's talk more action. But tell me firstly, what do you do at MCCI?
My role, or my official title, is the Partners in Culturally Appropriate Care Manager for New South Wales and ACT. So this particular project is part of a national initiative. So there's a PICAC, what we call for short, Partners in Culturally Appropriate Care, funded organisation in each state and territory. So the work that we do across New South Wales and ACT is similar to what the other PICAC funded organisations do in other states. We also have our key areas of expertise or specialisations that we focus on, but the program is very similar in terms of what the expected outcomes are. So it's amazing the work that is actually being done across all the PICACs Australia-wide. So apart from that role, there's a number of other teams I work closely with, including our community engagement and volunteer team. We do work with our local primary health network in the advanced care planning space. So they're probably more the direct work that I do with some of those teams. And of course, MCCI also does service delivery for home care and social support groups and youth work. And there's not too much that we're actually not involved with, I guess you could say.
It sounds like a massive portfolio, but tell us more about Illawarra. So it's a catchment area, or what is it specifically for people that don't know?
Illawarra region stems, I think, right down to about, is it not Ulladulla, but maybe down to Shoalhaven, and from the north, certainly not quite Sydney, but heading towards Sydney. So it is quite a large region. We're very well known for our wonderful beaches. So we have a lot of visitors coming, and certainly multicultural space as well. So we have many communities that have settled here into the Illawarra. But our organisation also has an office and deliver services in Canberra as well. So yes, we do. So we kind of do work apart from the Illawarra, but all the way down to Canberra as well along the way.
So it's quite a large area that you cover. And speaking of multicultural communities, the face of multiculturalism, I guess, is changing a little bit, and it has always been. It's been ever evolving. Organism, I guess. It's very much alive and very much present. But what kind of communities are you working with? Do you get a lot of emerging and new communities? Are the new migrants coming? I mean, not probably, but is it mostly the aging population, or a mix of everything?
It is actually a mix of everything. A lot of the work that our youth programs do, they do a lot with the refugee youth, which is again work that is really, really important. In terms of, we are noticing that there is changing faces of the aging communities, because there are communities that came here later in the years, but now they are reaching the stages of about 60, 65 and in need of services. So it's not just necessarily the communities that settled here post World War II, but there's the communities that have settled here because of other unrest over the last few decades. So we are finding changing faces of communities as well. So yeah.
Interesting. And Cecilia, with Let's Talk More Action, why why did you come up with this title? And I think I know, but you know, I'm just going to hear from you about why.
Look, as you mentioned before, I have actually been involved in running diversity programs for probably over 20, 25 years now across various industry sectors. And I'm finding, you know, 25 years later, we're still talking about the same thing.
Right.
So I think you're right. There was a certain element of frustration. We did have a couple of other titles in mind, and we tested it out with everybody, and that one seemed to be the most that resonated with everyone about, can we just get on with it and stop talking about it and actually do something about it? So that's probably why.
Very interesting, and I do wish you all the best in actually not just talking but doing. But of course, the challenge this year is that you went completely digital. So in previous years, these conferences were, you know, face to face with, as I said earlier, probably bed coffee and cake or whatever. But it was a lot of fun in terms of, you know, meeting people face to face. And now we can't, and you went fully digital. Could you tell us what maybe some of the thinking behind going digital was? Because there are so many benefits to it, but also some negative aspects, I guess.
Absolutely. Look, we initially did plan to have it face to face, and again, you know, COVID has impacted on everybody. We postponed it, and then we thought, well, things are not really going to change in the short term. We did not want to not go ahead with it, because that's something we do every year, focusing on different topics, whatever is the key thing that is happening across the sector. So if I think about even a couple of years ago when the sector started to move into the area of consumer direction, our topic at the time when we did the CALDWays was about strategic marketing and why cultural diversity matters in strategic marketing. Then there was workforce discussions happening in the aged care sector as well, probably about 2 years ago. And the focus of the last conference was the multicultural workforce. So our focus is always on the cultural aspects of things. And again, as you mentioned this year with diversity and inclusion, and we found that given the current environment with COVID, it's the inclusion that is the most critical part of, you know, of making sure everybody's safe and everybody continues to live reasonably well during the you know, the current situation. So I think that highlighted the inclusion component even more of why it's so important as well, definitely.
And with going fully digital, we did talk about, you know, before we came on air about a little bit of anxiety about how it's going to work. How has the preparation been different? Because you've got some amazing keynote speakers, and it's an event packed full of really, really good content. So if anyone wants to see it, we'll give them a website shortly. But I had a look at the program, and it's just amazing. So you know, you probably don't have a team of 20 people organizing things, and you are rich in many regards. So how has it been different for you organizing everything, knowing that, you know, it does have to all work on the day, and there's not a lot of room to fix technology if it goes wrong on the day? So what are your plans A, B, C, and D, I guess is what I'm asking.
No, that's fair enough. It's been a lot of Zoom meetings, and look, I would love to take the credit for organizing this, but I have an amazing team, and in particular our senior coordinator, Selene. She is a star, and she's been the force, you know, driving all of this and engaging with everybody through email and Zoom and testing and all sorts of things. So we're a little bit anxious again, like I mentioned, with technology, because as wonderful as it is, anything can go wrong, but we do have plan Bs. So we have, like I said, a wonderful organization called Delegate Connect, who are providing the platform, and they're very well experienced in doing this. So we anticipate that they'll be certainly there to supporting us all the way. The advantages naturally of doing it digital, it was easier for us to actually engage somebody from overseas. So we've got Dr. Nita Mosby-Taylor, who's, if you haven't listened to her TED Talks, she's amazing, but you'll get an opportunity to listen to her talk next week. She'll be dialing in directly from the US. So the digital platform has just kind of eliminated boundaries and opened up opportunities for a lot more people to be able to join in and dial in, but also has kept the expenses down as well. So it certainly is very affordable, and people have access to it to listen to it for another 30 days after. So it's something that, yeah, it's certainly a great resource to have.
And I think out of this whole adversity, and I know that you agree with me because we talked about it. There's so many good things that have come out, because we run a forum every March, and we've had to cancel this year, so we will do it next year. But I think we that anxiety you talked about, it's actually very much reduced, apart from the technology aspect of it, because we now have expanded our horizons in terms of who can present, but also who can attend. Because I'm sure that in terms of people registering, have you noticed that people are registering from different states, overseas, or what's the mix there?
It's been an absolutely tremendous mix, and yes, definitely across different states. And we did find that when we started doing some of our online training delivery as well. So we were quite pleasantly surprised to have people registering from all different parts of the regions, and it just accessibility for those people that live in regional or remote areas, provided obviously that they've got good internet connection, they are able to dial in as well. And I think that is just absolutely amazing to be able to offer reach that far out, because Australia is, and even if I think about New South Wales, trying to get to regional areas physically can be quite a challenge. So with digital, access, it just opens up so many doors for so many people.
And of course, because it'll be registered, you'll have it available afterwards as well for people that can't attend, and it'll be content that's going to be there forever, I guess, for people to tap in to and watch whenever they can. But in terms of, generally speaking, conferences are something that is a great networking opportunity. People gain a lot of knowledge, they meet others, that's what the conferences are for. But when we're talking about let's talk more action, what action do you want? What can we influence? So will it be lobbying the government, or is it just a knowledge gaining exercise, and then people go away and do their own thing? Or how do you connect other dots?
Well, one of the things is that we want people to understand it's actually not that hard. It's like anything. What I found over the years is if people really want to do something, or if an organization wants to do something, they'll find a reason. But if you don't want to do something, you'll just keep finding excuses. What we're saying is find a reason to do this, because this could mean the difference between success or failure within an organization. So many recent reports have come out to say that diversity inclusion is critical to future success of organizations overall, if you want to attract the right people. So part of what we're doing with the conference is showcasing organizations that have done it. So it can be done. So we've got a large aged care service provider who's launched their diversity and inclusion strategy, and they're really focusing on it. And I'll certainly be talking a little bit about our organization and how inclusive we are. And we use both internal measures as well as international measures to be able to benchmark about our level of diversity and inclusion. And given that we are an organisation that have less than 100 employees but speak over 40 languages,
wow,
we are very diverse. Now, just because we're diverse does not automatically mean that we're inclusive. There has to be an effort put in, which we've been doing, and it's the results speak for themselves. We've been able to achieve extraordinary things, I think, from the organisation perspective, and even the employees. They're very proud to be working with MCCI, and anyone you ask, they'll tell you that they're very proud in working with the organisation and in what they do. So I think it's about for organisations to think about this as a strategic imperative. Something that should be part of what you're aspiring to, and in actual fact, it's really not that hard. So the conference will involve a number of presenters providing tools. Actual tools that they can use, some practical examples. Also speakers talking about their personal experience from the consumer perspectives. So, it's going to be quite an enriching conference, and we've got some amazing digital technology as well. And we're saying as much as we are now operating in a digital world, but that doesn't need to be exclusionary either. There are so many opportunities available there as well to be inclusive.
And I think technology does or can create exclusion, for people that may have literacy issues or not speak English well, or you know, there's ranges of people. And, you know, even for someone like me who's pretty technology savvy, I still get very, very stressed when technology doesn't work. But what you just said resonated really well with me in terms of it's so clear that you're not just about ticking boxes. You're about making a difference to staff, to the management, to the organization itself, but also to people that are at the receiving end of your services, because at the end of the day, everyone works to make their lives better. Is that, am I hearing correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if you have happy staff that feel included, they are more likely to be inclusive of the clients that they're providing services to. So if I think about the COVID environment, some of the work and kind of thinking on your feet that our organisation has done, where we weren't able to, you know, to do necessarily the meals on wheels, which are generally frozen meals, we set up a kitchen and did hot food.
Right.
And delivered hot food for people so they could, you know, have a hot meal and a culturally appropriate meal. So we've provided sessions, Zoom, and assisted individuals as well as smaller organisations and communities on how to connect with Zoom, assisted in connecting older people through using technology with their family in other countries, because the anxiousness of people having family, particularly through Europe when everything was going on, you know, for them to be able to connect. So, yeah, absolutely. So we've had to really, really think on our feet, and even providing some physical activities online for those ones that could connect online, doing health being calls or health and wellbeing calls using the traditional telephone. So anything that was an option to us, we certainly explored it and tried to engage it as much as possible.
But Cecilia, it sounds to me like it's all about leadership and just looking at a situation, and, you know, like the proverbial has hit the fan everywhere in Australia, and some organizations like yours, through, you know, progressive thinking, being really agile and resilient, have really embraced it and thought, okay, what do we do? Like, let's roll up our sleeves and let's do it. Other organizations haven't been as successful. You know, there was like a sense of being frozen in place for a few of us. So take us through how do you develop those leadership skills to not only lead others, but be resilient yourself, so that we don't get all overwhelmed and worried and stressed, and, you know, because nobody knows what the future is going to bring right now. And I think for your clients, for your staff, you know, you're all humans. How do you work through that?
Well, one of the things, certainly our CEO is at the lead of all of this. He's an amazing person who really takes this sort of thing seriously, as in the clients are the most important, staff is important, and, you know, he's the leader in all this, and he supports his managers to also do the same thing. He exhibits the behaviours, lives the behaviours, and I think that's where it's very important. It's no use leaders telling other people and then they're demonstrating behaviours that are totally the opposite. The other thing is that we're all very supportive of each other as well, not just in terms of management, but I think of the staff generally. When something needs to happen, everyone comes to say, well, what can I do? Rather than, oh, that's not my job, or I don't want to get involved. That's definitely not how MCCI operates at all. Regardless whether it is in my job description or it's not in my job description, I'm there to help my co-worker or my teammate in solve and problem solve and find solutions. But we also do engage a lot. We collaborate a lot through other organisations and communities. And I think through collaboration is where success has been forthcoming for us as well.
And I think, look, we've been extremely excited to see the conference online, because we can attend, even though we're stuck in Melbourne a little bit right now, and we're not very popular in the rest of Australia, but we're trying. But it's an amazing opportunity for anybody to attend and to see and hear really inspirational speakers, but also examples of good practice and the human factor as well. I think that definitely shines through everything you've said to us today. But if I could just ask you to tell us a little bit more about the conference, you know, sort of specific. So it's between the 29th and 30th of October, so it's a 2 full-day conference. We actually took the plunge and, you know, gave you a little bit of sponsorship. We were very excited that we could, and it's our way of extending that sort of genuine support for this initiative. If I could get you, Cecilia, to tell us a bit more what people can expect, where to register, when it is, and all of the sort of practical things, please.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much for that. Look, the registrations will be closing next week. Wednesday, I think, will be the last day. We've got our marketing officer onto that. It is a 2-day conference. It starts a little bit later, which is at 10 o'clock, and it finishes early at 4 o'clock. But I can tell you, it's not your usual boring conference. We always make sure that we add elements of fun, and we're bringing back Brett DeHoot, who's our MC. He's been our MC now for third year running. He has incredible energy, and we couldn't think of anyone better to bring that energy to an online format than Brett. So I think he'll do amazing. But we've got some really fun things happening in between that are not in the program. So, we're very yes. So we're very excited about the sort of things that we'll be bringing in along the way. But we've got exciting technology happening. We've got some wonderful content, as you mentioned. But what I think the important thing is that we try to include actual diversity. So we've got, someone talking about from Indigenous perspective. We've got someone talking about from a person living with a disability from a CALD background. We've got an organisation talking about the work that they've been doing with LGBTI. We've really tried to be diverse. So, because what I found when organisations or when conferences come up about, diversity and inclusion, it's usually either about gender. Sometimes there is inclusion when it comes to LGBTI and sometimes Indigenous, but that's where it's at. So I think we try to broaden that, diversity as much as possible so that there's perspectives coming in. And then we actually do have some practical stuff like, for organisations how to implement the diversity framework and the aged care Health and Safety Commission talking about the aged care standards. So it's, it's a good all-round organisations when it comes to the important topics as well. I mean, there are some things like the Cultural Safety Gap Report. So it's about also talking about some of the issues. What are some of the issues? And then what are some of the solutions as well? So I think there's a really, really great mix of presenters and what they will be talking about. And John Pollier's, of course, we've had him with us as well. So he'll be talking about holistic care and what does that look like? And I think that's a topic we haven't really explored enough when it comes to holistic care planning.
And I think it sounds like it's something to for everyone, really and truly. And what I really liked about what you just said, Cecilia, is that it's not talking about, it's talking from people's point of view, and that's the only genuine way that you can actually explain what it's like for people. That intersectionality that you talked about, where you're not just put into a box or given a label, because people are diverse and everyone's different. And I think finding a way of including everyone into that conversation in a sincere and really genuine way is what we should all be striving to. It's a challenge, let's face it, it's not easy. But I think engaging the people that this is about, rather than, have a conference and talk about a problem or issue, a challenge or whatever with others people, is exactly what we should be doing. So look, we've got a few minutes left, but we're really, really pleased to be able to support you in a small way, and we'll be joining in on the day and listening to all the exciting presenters. You can see behind Cecilia the website where you can register, and we encourage everyone to do so. We'll put it on our website. So it's
thank you.
CALDWays.delegate.co, I think. We'll put it on
.co. That's right.
.co. That's it. And it's very easy to register. It's really full of very, very interesting speakers and surprises, as we heard, and a lot of fun, hopefully. So it's not just your standard conference. Please join if you can. I'm going to hand over to Andrea now for a few questions, because we've got quite a few.
Great.
Thank you, Cecilia and Eva. There's someone who wants to know if there will be any sort of one-on-one discussion or group discussion, or is it the conference only focused on presentations and panel discussion?
Okay. Well, with the panels, after each session, there's a Q&A. So we've allocated, I think, 5 to 10 minutes for a Q&A. So there will be opportunity for ongoing discussion, but it's not, I don't think we've got anything that's like an open discussion where everyone can join in and talk. But with the panel again, the panel that is being presented by the Partners in Culturally Appropriate Care Alliance, we're only talking for a few minutes each, and again, most of the time we're leaving to Q&As as well. So yes. Now the other thing, sorry, one more thing to add too is that if there is any particular discussion that anyone wants to have, you can go in and book with someone through that networking component, because there is a networking component as well. So if there's someone in particular that you wanted to talk to more about, you can actually book that through via one of the platforms there when you log in.
That's excellent. Thank you, Cecilia. I just wanted to know, basically, if you mentioned that the conference goes from 10 a.m. till 5 to 4 p.m., so the entire day. If someone cannot attend for the entire day because of work or anything, how can I just not miss, the sessions?
Yeah, and that's that little beautiful pink circle
Yes.
that says it's streamed live for another 30 days. So all the people that register, if they can't, obviously listen to the whole, they'll have another 30 days to listen to it.
Beautiful. And one more thing, who should attend this kind of conference? Are you targeting a specific audience, or can anyone attend?
Anyone can attend. A lot of it is built around the age and community care sector, but there are a number of components that are useful and relevant across all industries.
That's great. I have a question here at my end, and that is, how will you actually moderate the Q&A? So normally, I think what they're trying to say here is that normally at a conference, you always have somebody that's going to stand up and make a speech, right? You know what I'm talking about, Cecilia, right? So will the questions be moderated through the Q&A sort of panel, or will people be freely able to speak, or how will that work? Because that's one of the technology aspects of it all, yeah?
And again, that's where we've got the expertise from Delegate Connect, and of course our MC, Brett. So he's got a lot of years experience in emceeing and moderating the Q&A. So yes, we certainly have the support in that area.
Fantastic. And I have one other question, I think last question from now. And will government representatives be attending, do you think?
Yes, we have a number of people from the government departments that are attending but not presenting. We wanted to make this focus more about, I guess, everyone out there rather than necessarily the government. But they're a key sponsor of this event, so I think that's certainly important. And we certainly have a number of attendees from government attending. Yeah.
So it's really a conversation about how we can work together and showing good practice and tools and ways of actually being agile and resilient and innovative. I think innovation is another word that comes to mind. Even with the conference itself, it's something that you haven't done before. So I, for one, am extremely excited. Firstly, for you finding the time to speak to us. I know you're super busy, so we really, really grateful for that. But also to be able to attend, and it's just next week. So what I might do, Cecilia, now, if that's okay, is just hand over to you just for the last few words and give it to us. Why should we attend?
Look, you won't get better value for a start. I think that's an important thing these days when everyone's looking at cost issues. But I think it's a lot about the content and engagement. It's not something that you'll just sit through and be bored. Certainly not. They're key topics, and the most important thing is that this is the future. If you're not thinking about diversity and inclusion, then you will get left behind. And it really doesn't matter which organisation or which type of sector you work in. Diversity and inclusion is so important to success and new ideas and innovation. Otherwise, it's so easy to get left behind. And I think that's been a success story for MCCI. We've really learned how to embrace it and maximize and utilize it. So everyone we look at within our organisation, we look at the value that they bring rather than any limitations that might be there. So I think it'll be great.
So Cecilia, when it comes to me, sold, no problem. Anyone that is still thinking about it, go to the website. We'll post it on our social media. It really does sound like an amazing event. A lot of work has gone into it, but I think the content and the general theme of, you know, we're done with talking, let's do, is something that's going to really resonate with a lot of people, and you'll be inspired, you'll be surprised, and you will have a lot of fun. So Cecilia Milani, on that note, thank you so much again for sharing your morning with us, and we'll see you on the 29th, I guess.
Terrific. Thank you, Eva, and thank you to Polaron. See you then.
Okay, thanks a lot. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Thanks, Cecilia. Bye.